Many years ago, in the city of Calabar, tucked between whispering trees and the warm sea breeze, lived a young woman named Tina. She was beautiful, with a kind heart and a laughter that sounded like music. She lived a simple life with her parents. Her eyes always seemed to carry stories, her smile gentle, and her hands always busy. She was the first child in a modest family of 5. Her father worked at the port, a man hardened by labor, while her mother ran a roadside food stall. Puff puff, akara, jollof that smelled like heaven. It was Tina who woke up at dawn to help prepare ingredients, who balanced balls on her head and hawked meals around the neighborhood, who washed dishes until her fingers wrinkled. She never complained. People in the area knew her. Tina the good girl, they called her. She was respectful, hardworking, and always neat, even if her dresses were faded at the seams. Her dream, simple: to one day own her own shop and take care of her parents like they took care of her. But life, as it always does, had other plans. One afternoon, while helping her mother fry the puff-puff at the market, she met him, James, a man with skin like polished wood, voice like silk, and a presence that seemed to silence the noise around him. He said he was from Lagos, just visiting Calabar for a short business trip. But from the way his eyes lingered on her, it was clear Tina had become part of the agenda. He kept coming back, first to buy food, then to ask about her day. He was smooth, but not in a sleazy way. He listened when she spoke, complimented her cooking, even helped her carry crates one time. Her mother watched cautiously, but Tina was glowing for the first time in years. Love, that tricky, blinding thing. She didn't see the red flags, because in those days, all she saw was red roses. Tina had never known luxury. Her world was simple, predictable, and small. But James brought Lagos into her life like perfume that lingered even after he left. He dressed sharp, talked smart, and treated her like she mattered. Not just in words, but in presence. He listened when others dismissed her. He remembered little things that she said to him. In just 2 months, Tina was no longer the girl at the fruit stall. She was his woman. At least, that's how he introduced her. People whispered. Some warned her. Her mother sat her down one rainy evening and said, "Tina, don't fall for surface things. Lagos boy can sweet talk the devil." But Tina was already knee-deep in it. Her heart was a goner. Then, just like a movie scene, James took her to a quiet garden one Sunday evening. He knelt down on the damp earth and pulled out a small velvet box. Inside it, a modest but sparkling ring. "Tina, I want you, all of you, marry me." Tina's hands trembled, tears welled up in her eyes, not from doubt, but from shock. No one had ever chosen her like that. Not this publicly, not this boldly. She said yes, her voice shaking, and the garden clapped with the laughter of friends James had invited secretly. They married in a small church in Calabar. Her father walked her down the aisle with tired but proud eyes. Her mother, teary and silent, held her hand for a long time after the vows. 2 weeks later, she left Calabar for the first time in her life, hand in hand with a man who promised her forever, and boarded a bus to Lagos. But what she didn't know was that sometimes the road to forever ends in a place where even love fears to tread. Lagos. The moment they arrived, the city swallowed Tina whole. Noise everywhere, cans honking like aggravated drums, people shouting prices, preachers screaming repentance, street kids tapping at tinted glasses for coins. But James, he moved through it like he owned it. He held her hand tight as they drove to their new apartment in Surulere. Small but neat, white tiles, a tiny balcony, a gas cooker she'd never used before. To Tina, it felt like luxury. She tried, oh she tried. She cooked every meal with love, woke up early, cleaned, prayed over him, praised him. She believed that the wife who built her home with her hands will reap joy in abundance, that if she just did everything right, life would reward her. And for a while, it seemed to work. She got pregnant 3 months after the wedding. James was excited, or at least he acted like it. He bought her fruits, took her to the hospital. He even rubbed her feet some nights. They chose names together, argued over boy or girl, laughed again like they used to. Then their son was born, tiny, soft and beautiful. They named him Ethan. James' idea. Tina thought it sounded like a name that would carry weight, open doors. She nursed him with a full heart, even when the stretch marks came, even when the sleepless nights clawed at her sanity. She didn't care. She had a husband, she had a son, she had a family. But then the shift began. James started staying out late. At first, it was work. Then it became silence. No explanation, no apology. He'd come home reeking of expensive cologne that wasn't hers. He stopped asking about Ethan, stopped looking at her. Some nights, he wouldn't come home at all. Tina waited. She told herself it was just stress, business, pressure. Lagos could be overwhelming. But in the pit of her stomach, something ugly started to grow. Then one day, she found the message. A WhatsApp notification flashed across his phone while he was in the bathroom. She didn't mean to snoop. She just glanced. But that name, Anna, burned itself into her soul. The message read, "Last night was fire. You know your wife can never make you moan like that." Tina froze. Her heart slowed. Her hands went cold. The silence after that message was louder than anything she had ever heard. That night, Tina didn't sleep. James came out of the bathroom, humming, towel around his neck, acting like a man with nothing to hide. He smiled at her, kissed her forehead, lay beside her like he hadn't just shattered the ground beneath her feet. Tina stared at the ceiling, eyes wide open, the fan spinning like her thoughts, faster, noisier, colder. She didn't speak, she didn't cry, not yet. Instead, she waited. The next day, while James was at work, she did what any woman with a crumbling heart and a cracked phone password would do. She unlocked it. Every message, every picture, every filthy voice note, it was all there. Anna. That name danced through his chest like a queen. She wasn't just some random fling. She was an ex, a long-time ex, 5 years deep. The kind of woman who knew all his secrets, the kind he used to complain about back in Calabar. "She's not a wife material," he had once said. "Too wild, too flashy. I need peace, not problems." Now that same problem had returned, and James welcomed her back like royalty. What still? He didn't just cheat with her, he invested in her. Bank transfers, rent payments, Uber rides, spa treatments, everything he refused to buy for Tina. He poured into Anna like she was a bottomless cup. And Tina, the woman who bathed in sweat just to feed him, the one who risked her life giving birth to his son, he rewarded her with silence, slaps, and lies. The betrayal was no longer emotional, it was violent. The beatings began small, shouting, pushing. Then one day, he slapped her so hard in front of Ethan that her ear rang for 2 days straight. Still, she tried. She begged Anna like a desperate woman clinging to the last shred of her dignity. She called her, sent her messages, even met her once outside a salon, where she knelt on the pavement, holding her child in one arm. "Please, just leave my husband alone." Anna looked at her and laughed. Full teeth, no shame. "You're embarrassing yourself," she said. "Try upgrading yourself. Maybe then he'll stay at home." Then she walked away, hips swinging like victory. Tina stood there, dust clinging to her knees. Ethan cried softly on her chest. And in that moment, something inside her broke. No, not broke. Shifted. She was done being the good wife, the begging woman, the joke. And as she walked home that evening, one hand gripping her son and the other trembling at her side, a thought grew in her mind like a weed in a flower bed. What if I stop forgiving? What if I fight fire with something darker? What if I destroy them both? It began with silence, not the kind that begs peace, but the kind that prepares for war. Tina no longer shouted. She no longer cried or pleaded. She moved like a shadow in her own home, watching, calculating, waiting. James didn't notice. He was too busy playing house with Anna, who now visited more freely, sometimes even spent the nights in her own home, in her bed. Tina slept in the guest room with Ethan, the child coughing through the night while laughter echoed from the master bedroom. But pain is a strange alchemist. It turns hope into bitterness and bitterness into something little. One morning, while scrolling through Facebook in the kitchen, she saw a post. A man ranting, unfiltered. He was HIV positive and had just found out his girlfriend gave him the virus. His words were venom, but buried in the comments was something that caught her attention. "Na cheap girls they spread this thing pass. I don't tire. I fit give am to 10 babes before next week sef. Make them know how it be." The profile was open. She clicked. His name was David, late 30s, lives in Lagos. And from the look of his post, reckless, bitter, and angry enough to do anything for the right price. Her heart stuttered. Her hands shook. Could I? Should I? The voice in her head whispered, "They took everything from you. Why should you protect them?" Tina knew that Anna was cheap and easy to get. She sent him a message. Simple, direct. "Hi, I saw your post. I need your help. I'll pay you. Just one target. One woman. She deserves it." He replied within minutes. "Who is she?" Tina sent a picture of Anna, one from James' phone. Her in a tight dress, grinning like the devil in human skin. David laughed in a voice note. "Ah, this one now lotion now. This job goes sweet me." The deal was struck. Tina transferred half the money that night. No names, no locations, just instructions. Anna, proud and loud, made herself easy to find. A few days later, David met her at a lounge on the mainland. He was charming, said all the right things. She liked money and attention. He had both. She fell for it like a fly into honey. They hooked up that same week. Twice. Tina got the update in her inbox like a food delivery confirmation. Mission accomplished. She didn't smile. Not yet. She waited. Weeks passed. James got sick first. Flu-like symptoms. Then weight loss. He started sleeping more, eating less. Anna stopped coming by as often. The fight started. They went to the hospital to run a test to check what was wrong. The test result came back. HIV positive, both of them. Suddenly, the house grew quiet again. James locked himself in the room, vomiting through the night. Anna vanished completely. Calls went unanswered. Her social media disappeared. Coward. And Tina, she sat at the dining table, her son playing on the floor nearby, and ate roasted chicken with a cold glass of wine in her hand. Calm, poised, poetic. Then she laughed, low and slow. She didn't dance. She didn't gloat publicly, but she whispered one thing under her breath that night. Revenge is sweet, but it tastes better served slow. James was no longer the man he used to be. His body shrank, his voice faded, his swagger gone. The same man who once strutted around shirtless, shouting at Tina like she was a maid, now wore 3 layers of clothing in Lagos heat just to hide the signs, the weight loss, the sores, the shame. His phone barely rang. His business partners pulled away. People whispered, "He looks sick." Wetin dey worry James? He don't dey do drugs? No, that one na AIDS. I hear him. He stopped going out, stopped eating, spent most of his days locked in the master bedroom, curtains drawn, afraid of the world he used to own. And Tina, she bloomed. She took care of Ethan. She smiled more, played gospel music louder. Her skin glowed. Neighbors noticed. "She's looking better," one woman whispered. "She dey happy now. I think God is answering her prayers." If only they knew. Anna, meanwhile, had gone underground. What had it? She tried confronting James, accusing him of infecting her. James swore she brought it. She swore it was him. 2 snakes biting each other, both bleeding. They stopped speaking. Whatever love once existed, the virus dissolved it. Tina never said a word. She cooked his food without poison, cleaned the house like a good wife, even gave him his meds when he asked. No malice, no outburst, just peace. But it was a kind of peace that feels like standing in a graveyard. One night, while Tina was feeding Ethan, James staggered into the living room, weak, shirt soaked in sweat, eyes sunken. He dropped to his knees. "Tina," he said, voice cracking, "please forgive me." She didn't flinch, didn't stop feeding her son. "Do you want forgiveness?" She asked softly. "From me?" "I'm dying, Tina," he whispered. "You know it. Help me, please. You were always good, Tina. Better than her. Better than me." Tina stood up, walked to him slowly, then leaned in and whispered into his ear. "Death would be a mess, James. I hope you live a long, long time to feel every inch of what you gave me." Then she turned and walked away, her dress dragging softly across the tiles like the final curtain on a tragic stage. James wept, but Tina, she smiled to herself. Because in this story, the villain didn't win. And the heroine, she stopped waiting for justice. She created it. Was Tina right for what she did? Or did she go too far? Let's hear your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for watching this powerful story. If Tina's journey moved you, if it shook something in your chest, or made you pause and think, then don't just scroll away. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. Let's talk about it. Let's hear your take. Was Tina right? Did justice win? What would you have done? And hey, don't forget to like, subscribe, and smash that notification bell so you never miss another story that cuts this deep, burns this hot, and leaves your heart racing. Because here, we don't just tell stories, we serve justice with a side of truth. See you in the next one. Bye!